Look at me, LARPing as a hacker at DEFCON 32, which also is my first DEFCON. If you're not familiar with DEFCON, it's just one giant playground of puzzle solving. And I decided to join Primogen's team, the Psychoholics. And after 72 hours of difficult cipher cracking, we got first place in the Gold Bug Challenge. The challenge the Psychoholics chose, the Gold Bug Crypto Village Challenge, which includes 13 puzzles and one meta puzzle, in which there was 250 teams that competed, 40 that even got a single puzzle correct, 10th place got 3 puzzles correct, and first place, that's this guy right here. We got 12 problems correct. So let's go over a few of these challenges and I'll show you kind of how the solution was derived. Some of them were much easier than others, but they are all a ton of fun to do. All right, so let's first talk about etiquette. Gosh. Today is the day, you say excitedly, looking into your closet. You already picked out your best outfit days ago in eager anticipation of this evening. You'll be joining your friends for a lovely evening of parlor games. You hear a soft knock on the door. Come in, you say impatiently, mildly annoyed at the interruption. Hey, sweetie. It's Granny. I heard you're going to a party tonight, and I wanted to give you this to help you make sure you're all ready. She hands you an old book. It looks nearly 150 years old with a dusty red cover and yellow dog-eared pages. The Ladies and Gentlemen Etiquette book of the best society. What do I need this for? Granny smiles warmly. It is important to know how to behave at the party, she tells you. Before long, Granny has gone off on a tangent from the anecdote she was telling about someone in the story from one time when her granny told her something about a party she had been to and something about proper communication with a fan and the importance of chandelier versus lamp placement, and you realize Granny has asked you a question and you snap back to the present. Will you promise to take a look at it, won't you? It's really not that sort of party, you tell Granny, starting to roll your eyes before you catch yourself. Granny sighs, and you feel bad for disappointing her. She had been so excited to give you this book that clearly meant a lot to her. But I'll look through it. She perks right back up, her face glowing. You never know when it will come in handy. So obviously, first observation you must make is the grandson's kind of a dick. I don't know what his deal is. Like, this sweet dear granny came there and gave him a book for a nice fine evening with the ladies and gentlemen of the best society.
This bitch is love so sad, oh and unknowing.
Yet he got mildly annoyed at being interrupted. Like, what kind of grandson is this? I think we need to have a whole situation on this grandson debacle. So when you scroll down to the bottom, there will be this picture of a book, and if you click it, you get a PDF. Now, when the PDF opens up and you kind of scroll down, you'll start seeing these lines inside the PDF, and right away, somebody from the group noticed something interesting about the text on the prior page. It looks nearly 150 years old with a dusty red cover and yellow dog-eared pages. You know, those cuts that you can see right here in the PDF, that looks like kind of dog ear folds. So as you scroll through the PDF, you can see that every single page has some sort of folding mark on it. So this is probably the answer. We just need to figure out, what do we fold, why, and what answer does it give us? Now, at this point is pretty much where I become the Alex Jones of cipher solving. I just start to suspect everything, every possible clue. So I start just trying to grab information from the page, and if I take come on, which is quoted, and then I search for it in the book, you'll notice that come on actually intersects one of the dog ears. And if you notice that come on is actually the third sentence down inside of this little clue, it's also the third from the last occurrence, so therefore there's only one possible answer. I gotta fold those pages and look at what words the corners point to discover the secret passcode. All right, as you can see, I got the clear answer of never at. And that was incorrect. The actual answer was both simpler and more complicated. It wasn't until teammate Gurn suggested that maybe we should take every last place that the folds don't match and then draw those across as if there was a message from all the remaining unfolded parts of the dog ears. Which makes sense because, as you can see here, part of the page wasn't folded. And as you can see right here, this random page also wasn't folded. And same with this one. So they all do seem to have some sort of middle section. So I created this lovely Python script to grab out every single line, group them by pages, then take out the middle 2 points, and then draw them one at a time, moving over 1 pixel every single time I draw one of the lines. And that is the answer. That kind of looks like the answer. The silly essay. What are the chances that the pages actually made words I could read? Let's go. Points on the board. That's 100 points. Next up is the masquerade problem. I literally can't read this text. As you see, it's impossible. So there's only one thing to do. Much better. Like the previous one, there's this big wall of text and then some link off to another web page. Maybe it's a PDF. Let's find out. A curious history hath the coated ballroom. I recall a text detailing in meticulous detail the dance that is traditional within its halls. A dance of such curious precision that only a madman could decipher its meaning. But alas, I find myself only pondering deeper its hidden secrets. Just the other day, fate drew me to observe an extreme fortune but a small portion of the ceremony. While coming near the building, I heard the distinct voice of the ceremony master call out such a curious phrase: "The Baron doth gaze sour towards steamed pudding cold." Why? What's wrong with this Baron, huh? Why is he looking at steamed pudding? And why is the steamed pudding cold, okay? Lots of questions again, needing to be answered with these little riddles, okay? Riddle me this, Crypto Master. And then not 10 minutes later, a steady stream of masked guests exited the building. Upon their fronts, I observed the following letters in order: OTIRATWFYRRXK. What could it mean? I must know. Pray tell me! Obviously, the Baron and the cold pudding part is very important. It was all capitalized and had the quotes. And then the second part talking about the steady stream coming back out, that also must be important. So let's just mark those two in our head and come back to it. Now, obviously, this giant file clearly has the answer, either the entire thing or within it. If you start reading the instructions, you'll notice it's actually literally laying out the algorithm, but it's laying it out in order how to create it. Now, the trick here is that you only see the leaving guess, so you actually have to kind of do a bit of an inverse lookup at the end of the algorithm to be able to see what letters did they originally spell. This just simply involves putting a bunch of guests around in a circle, 26 positions, kind of odd, right? And then making sure that everybody has a number, and then switching positions, doing a little dance. It's like a really simple kind of basic hashing type algorithm. Now, what made this really simple to solve is that if you look at any of the spots, you could actually see repetitive phrases. Notice this right here. The master announces letter F. The guest holding letter F takes their place at marker 0. The master announces letter O. The guest holding placard O takes their place at number 01. And you can slowly see the circle kind of forming, and it just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again. And any duplicates are obviously dropped. So what I did is I actually made the two different ways in which you can print out the circle, printed the heading, then would actually print the master announces this, and then the guest holding this placard moves into this position, and did that for the entire setup. The next section, the dance, I did the exact same thing again. I just made sure I printed exactly what the page had. And then the last part with the inversion of the algorithm, I again just printed every last bit of information that was had, ran the program and just piped it all out to a single file. Then I took this file right here and just simply compared the original instruction set to the one that I generated. And if I had a perfectly exact matching one, I knew I've created the algorithm correctly, which then it gave me the output, which the output of the test version was UYXSBPGAFV. So then I could then feed that into the program instead of the original phrase that's a part of this cipher, and program it such that I could get the original phrase, mysterious, to be printed back out. Therefore, I was able to actually go both ways with this algorithm. And since the file contained no differences, I knew I pretty much had the correct answer. Lo and behold, I did have the correct answer. So I just simply run the problem with the new input, and the very end is history accuse, which happens to be 13 letters long, which happens to be the same length of all the other problems answers that we're running into. So, well, let's go. And when we entered it in, problem was correct. That's 2. So the next 2 I did not fully solve, but instead just played a small part, if any part, in solving these. But they were completely bonkers, so I thought it'd be fun to show you the solution through this. So first, let's go to charades. So now when you click on charades, all you're presented with is this image. Now this obviously doesn't feel like there's a lot of information here, but if you look at each one of the positions of these guys, they're dancing guys, right? They're each in these fun positions. It turns out that's from Sherlock Holmes, called a dancing man cipher. That means all I have to do is go to each picture and decipher each letter, which of course spells out RCOLC. And you can tell right away that's not 13 letters, and that's not even English, so that's probably not the solution to the problem. But if you look above each one of their heads, there are 13 speech bubbles. So probably the ordering of the speech bubbles will become very important. Now this is where we're gonna have to get pretty deep on the Alex Jones level conspiracy, so follow me along here, okay? So if you look at each one of the words, they all happen to have Roman numerals in them, and if you calculate out all their Roman numeric values, you will see that they're all distinct and their values 1 through 13. Sorting and ordering each one of the words that came into the list and then associating its Dancing Man value with its ordering, we get rail, crash, hero. 13 letters, and it makes sense English, so guess what? That's the answer. Yes, it is. By the way, fun fact, I actually was originally kind of working on this problem, so I actually started translating out the Dancing Man, putting all this information in. I actually mistranslated one of them as an L instead of an S. I mean, look at that. That does look like that's a potentially an L, okay? I thought it was kind of kinked with the arm, but that apparently was a straight up arm. I got it wrong. I got the Dancing Man wrong. Not only that, but you'll notice that there's these little numbers right here, 10, 4, 3, 6, 0, 3. I actually thought these little buttons right here were something, okay? Maybe Thor might have misled Lee. He's like, hey man, those buttons are important. So I was going through and I was trying to figure out stuff, and I kid you not, there was even a time where a group of people were looking through, counting the little circles in each one of these words. Man, I mean, we were deep in the possible conspiracy theories for how to decode this thing. This one was actually really, really hard to do, but it was a ton of fun. So the last challenge I want to go over is number 3, Cirque Mystique, but I want to go over only one section of it because I kid you not, it took us like 12 hours, and at one point, Gurn and I were just giggling trying to figure out why this is not English. We're like, Samathas, trying to like create words out of just a jumble of letters. We were sleep deprived. It was like 2 a.m, and the problem was staring us in the face. This really is like gonna be the highlight, the pain of trying to solve these cipher challenges. So after some time solving these challenges, you land on this particular page. It's like a page discovery one. If you looked up here, you could see a bunch of these different URLs, but it doesn't really matter. But it says Roy G. Biv, Roy's Amazing Apothecary, and right away you're like, is that an H? Is that an H in there? You literally, at 2 a.m, when you're sleep deprived, you start seeing everything as a possible clue. Step closer, dear patrons, to encounter the esteemed and enigmatic Roy G. Biv, alchemist extraordinary, a concoction of colors, a cauldron of curves, a compendium of captivating compounds await your curious cravings. Quench your thirst for the extraordinary and become bewildered by beguiling brews. Then you're presented with this huge board of potions, and then you're presented with math. A lot of quick math going on here. So obviously, we need to do some conversions. So if red plus red equals red, I would assume that means red equals 0. Orange plus orange equals yellow. Well, we could imagine 1 plus 1 equals 2, so that should work out. Orange plus yellow equals green. Well, that could be 3. Yellow plus yellow equals blue. All right, this is starting to make sense. Green plus green equals what appears to be purple, 6. Obviously, as you can see, there's quite a few of these little problems. So once you work it all out, which Thor did all of that, thank you, Thor, you end up discovering like what red means, what yellow means, and then of course the shape of the bottle also means something as well. Therefore, every single bottle with its color and its shape, you could derive an exact decimal value. So now on to the actual shelf. We need to actually apply all those values across the shelf. And there you go. We have all the values for every single bottle. Now they're coming in sets of 3, so I bet if we add all those numbers together, modulo into this little piece of clue at the bottom of the page, we'll probably get the answer out. Here's the modulo summed values for each one of the shelves, and when I convert it into an ASCII value, 0 being A, I get the following string. Rot left, drop last. Well, that sounds pretty easy. I assume that means I need to shift every single bottle over by 1 and then drop the last column. So there we go. I simply drop the first one and then push it on to the end. And since they come in sets of 3, just simply add the 3 values together and modulo by 28, and then print out the value, which gives us Savamukirultases. Now this is the part where Maybe there was a lot of laughter. We couldn't figure things out. The brain was probably dead from staying up too much. I tried to rotate every last way I could think of. Tried rotating entire sets. Tried rotating this way. Oh my gosh, we tried everything. I tried dropping individually the last bottle out of each one of the sets of 3 and then rotating it that way. I tried rotating each row and then dropping the end of the row. Man, tried all of them. Now, remember I said the answer is staring me in the face? See this Savam Kurultses? It is actually the answer. Let me show you. All right, when I paint them onto each one of these locations, it is actually staring you in the face. It's not C-V-A bang, dropping the bang. It's not C-V-A-U-I-C. It's C-U-R-E, cure. V-I-L-E, vile, A-C-T-S, axe. That means when I go up into here, I go Kier, Vile, Axe, and there we go. We've made it to the next page. Obviously, there's still quite a few other puzzles left, but those are the ones I was most familiar with, and this was what DEF CON was like for me. I got to go through all of that. I got to meet a lot of cool people. I even participated in Crash and Compile, where you had to drink and solve coding problems. Unfortunately, my internet wouldn't work, and I actually had to, I kid you not, I had to take my solution. I had to commit it to GitHub. I had to push it up via my phone's internet. Then low-level learning had to bring it back down, test it, take the output, commit it, push it back up, me bring it back down, look at the output. There was no chance we were going to win that one, but it was a ton of fun. DEF CON 32, I had an absolute blast at, and I highly recommend trying out the DEF CON hacking experience. The name is the Primogen.